And we are back with some more Hartford Whalers Franchise Mode in FHM 8. And we are on July 1st of 1981. And of course that means the start of free agency. And who is in free agency? Peter Stastny. That is right, 24 years of age. 2.5 star ability, 3.5 star potential. A very good offensive player. Passing is at 20. Offensive reads at 17. Puck handling is at 18. Not too good defensively, but he'll definitely be used in the top 6. As I believe he would be, if we were to sign him, our second best center. Of course, right behind Rogers. Yeah, he would be our second best center. So just given the fact that he's 24 and I don't believe he belongs to any NHL team as far as rights go. Yeah, no, he's a free agent. So even though it says he's a restricted free agent, he doesn't actually belong to any NHL team. So I believe that means we can go after him here. And yeah, I'll definitely give you that. In fact, I think I'll give him a little bit more, $165,000 for 2 years. So a good way to speed up the rebuild there. Of course, we also have Bernie Nichols, who is a 1.5 star talent now, 3.5 star potential. He had 161 points this past season in the OHL. So there you go, $45,000 for 3 years for Bernie Nichols. And hopefully he makes our roster and makes a difference. Now, we definitely have more to work on than just the center core, but it's a good start. Obviously, we have the draft coming up in a couple of days. Now, since we made the playoffs this past season, I can't see us, getting the best of picks, but we should still be able to get a decent potential player. I'd say like a 3.5 star is what we're looking at, more than likely. But I believe that is all that needs to be done on July 1st. So let's advance to the 3rd, when we'll have the NHL entry draft of year 2. All right, here we go. So the best player in the draft, as far as ability goes, is Grant Fuhr, 3.5 star potential, 2 star ability. And the best potential is Doug Gilmour, 5 star potential, and the 1 star ability. So yeah, there's literally just 1 5-star ability in Gilmour, and then the rest are 3.5 stars, 2.5 stars, so not even any 3-star abilities here. Gilmour is by far the best player. I would not be surprised if he goes first overall. But really after him and Fuhr, there's not much to speak of as far as potential goes. You have 5 players at 3.5 star potential. After that, there's no 3-star potentials. It drops right down to 2.5 stars. And really not a lot of depth it's looking like in this draft. So where are we picking? We are picking at number 8. I'm not sure if we're going to get any of those 3.5 star potentials. I have to be honest. We might have to settle for a 2.5 star here. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens because you really never know what's going to happen in the draft in this game. But let's see. First pick is going to be Doug Gilmour, as expected, to the Colorado Rockies. And number 2, going to be Al MacInnis to the Quebec Nordiques. Number 3, Ron Francis goes 3rd overall to the LA Kings. John Van Beesbrook goes to the Winnipeg Jets at number 4. Dale Hawerchuk goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins at number 5. Grant Fuhr goes to the Calgary Flames at number 6. So not looking like a whole lot here. There is one more 3.5 star potential available in Mike Vernon, the goaltender, but everyone else below him is 2.5 star or below as far as their potential goes. Pick number 7, you have Steve Smith. So we could take Vernon here. I mean, we do have Davidson and Garrett, but neither of them have exactly proven to be anything spectacular so far. So, I think I might actually take Vernon here. Let's take a look at Mike Vernon. He's only a 0.5 star ability currently, so he's going to take some time getting ready. But if he can pan out later, that'd be great. But the thing is, I'm not sure if that fits our timetable. Then again, it's not like anyone else here really would either. Like, this guy's the one who's the most NHL ready. But even he only has 2-star potential. I'd rather take one of the 2.5 star potentials if I could. Yeah, I guess I'll take Vernon. There's really not much standing out to me here, even at pick number 8. So that is quite unfortunate, but looks like Vernon is indeed the pick. Welcome to Hartford, Mike Vernon. In the second round, there's really already not a lot here. The best player, at least as far as NHL readiness, is Randy Bushik, and even he's quite a ways away. So I guess I'll take him, but this is definitely a very, very thin draft. I guess next will be Jukka Vilander. He's decent in some attributes: faceoffs, positioning, speed, stamina, offensive read. I would be willing to give him a chance. Yeah, the draft is really not much this year. Actually, Jeff Larman doesn't look bad. For a 0.5 star ability, that is not bad at all. And I don't think I've actually taken a winger yet, so yeah, Larmer, welcome to Hartford. Yeah, we're now at that point of the draft. I don't think there's not much left. Unfortunately, this might be a quick draft here. Yeah, nothing's jumping out at me. I'm just going to have the computer finish the draft. And there was 11 rounds too. Yeah, I wasn't going through 7 more rounds of that. Because at that point, the computer picking is just as good as me just taking a random player. Ooh, Anton Stasny looks pretty good. Peter Stasny's brother, I suppose. Yeah, he has line chemistry with him. Really good offensively. He's only 1.5 star, but I'd definitely be willing to give him a chance, especially if he could produce offensively with Peter. And it looks like he might, just based off those ratings. And he's only 21, so it's not like we'd be signing an older forward here. You're at least giving a chance to a young guy. No contract rights. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for the Stasny brothers here. And there you go. We got the Stasny brothers and Bernie Nichols on board. And as expected, the computer is putting them on the same line. So we'll see what that does for our line chemistry and how well that second line performs. Because obviously depth has been a pretty big issue for us. Hopefully that alleviates some of it. And what I'm hoping for out of Anton Stasny is that he can push his potential a little bit more, just given his offensive ratings. So if he has a good season, then maybe he, jumps up to a 3-star potential, maybe 3.5-star potential, especially playing alongside of Peter. I can see that working out really nicely. And something I actually failed to mention before, Peter Stasny actually has a special ability, soft passer. On-target passes from this player are much easier than normal for a teammate to receive, leading to fewer bobbled passes. So that's certainly a very nice thing to have for that second line. Yeah, really not much else for us here. I think we'll advance to the start of the preseason of year number 3. And the Hall of Fame inductions for 1981 are Johnny Buchik, Frank Mahovlich, Rod Gilbert, and Harry Lumley. All right, so we have finished up the preseason and some pretty good numbers here. Mike Rogers with 12 points in 7 games. Kissio with 9 points in 5 games. So hopefully we see a drastic improvement from him this season. He had 36 points last season. 8 for Stevenson, 8 for Douglas and Stasny and Coffey. It's a lot of scoring this preseason. 904 save percentage for John Davidson and a 871 for John Garrett, unfortunately. Obviously, Davidson doing really well. Garrett, not so much. We'll see how that translates into the regular season. But I'm hoping at least one of them can have, at the minimum, a league average save percentage, because that seems to be something we have struggled with so far this GM mode. Grade-wise, Jordy Douglas was phenomenal offensively. 88 offensive grade. Pedersen with an 89 as well. No one too phenomenal defensively, but still some much better defensive grades than we've seen in the past. So hopefully, once again, that translates into the regular season. And I think we will get into at least the first month here, see how it goes. Oof. And the first game of the season against the Colorado Rockies, nonetheless, is a 10-2 loss. You hate to see it. How are they looking right now? I mean, better than when the GM mode first started, but not anything phenomenal. So that loss definitely hurts. Not a good way to start the season. Oh, look at those grades. That is rough. Yikes. Look at all those 40s. Oh, man. Those defensive grades are ugly. It's that one line with the good defensive grades. Every other line is just absolutely terrible there. Oh, no. Jordy Douglas out with a ruptured disc indefinitely. 6 months. The first game of the season. That is so unfortunate. He had 89 points last year, and now he's basically done for the season already. That is so unfortunate. To the injury list you go. So there's our first line left winger already down. Gonna have to make up for that somehow. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but one of the young guys has to step up, I suppose. Oh man, Bernie Nichols getting in there, 4th line center. It's November 1st, and it has been rough so far. What is going on here? 2-8-1? Are you kidding me? It was that first loss of the season, I'm telling you. I think it was that first loss of the season that just absolutely gutted our confidence early on. Because this team, I mean, we're not ideal, that's for sure. Like, we're still far from perfect as a team, but we should at least not be 2-8-1. Like, what is going on here? All right, so player stats, Rodgers, Staunton, and Pedersen, all with 11 points each. So 3-point per game players so far. Stasny with 9 points in 11 games to start out his career in Hartford. Paul Coffey with 6, 5 for Sims. Then Anton Stasny with 5 points, as well as DeBoll. Mark Howe only with 4 so far. Same for Roberts, 3 for Kissio. Yeah, so besides that line right there, not looking too favorable for our depth scoring. We'll have to take a look at the team stats after this. Goalie stats, Davidson with a 900 save percentage in 7 games played, and Garrett with an 840 in 7 games played. What? That's rough. I don't know what's going on here, Garrett, my man, but you need to pick it up here soon. All I'm saying is if you continue on that trend for up until the trade deadline, you're out of here. Because that's so bad. Even for this era where, scoring is pretty high. All right, let's see. Team stats. We are 19th in the league for goals for 2.91 and goals against per game of 5 flats. That is so bad. I don't know what's going on here this first month, but this cannot continue. All right, let's see the penalty kill. This should be interesting. 66.7. This is rough stuff. I mean, I wasn't expecting us to be a good team this year by any means, but I wasn't expecting this. There's still plenty of time to turn it around. We're technically only 2 points behind the playoffs right now because, it's only a 21 league team where only 5 teams missed the playoffs. So, it's not impossible to overcome this, but definitely not off to a good start. And by the looks of it, we appear to, we have the worst team plus minus differential thus far. 32 goals to 55. Oh, man. Yeah, we definitely have our work cut out for us here. And the loss of Douglas for basically the whole season definitely is not going to help. So if Garrett could bring his save percentage up a little bit, that would probably help, at least with our defensive efforts. As for scoring, that appears to be a different matter. But if Garrett can get it together, then we might at least have a chance of making the playoffs. So off the hunch that this is just a really bad stretch, I'm going to continue this simulation. But I'm going to say if we get up to this game against Philly right here, and we only have like 3 wins total, then I think I'll stop it there. Because that would be cause for concern for sure. Because that would be, at that point, if we only had 1 more win up to that point, that's 7 more losses on the book, meaning 3, 15, and 1. So yeah, I think we'll go up to that game against Philly and see how we do. So we just passed the game against Philly and we are 4-12-3. This is certainly not looking good. This is not turning out how I thought it would. And it's so weird because we don't have a terrible team. It's just not optimal as of this point. But man, it's really looking terrible here. And I would have thought, at least based off last year, that this team would be an improvement because we did make the playoffs last year, and although we only got 31 wins total, it was still decent enough. It was improvement enough. But now it feels like we're going backwards. It really does. The only thing is I'm not comfortable making any trades to improve our team for the now because I know we're still in a rebuild sort of stage. And it looks like that might have to continue beyond this year because we are still just clearly not in a good position. This rebuild has definitely not progressed the way I was anticipating so far. I seriously thought this was going to be a 1 or 2 year rebuild at best, but it seems like it's going to be a full-blown rebuild here. Because for whatever reason, this team just does not, it seems like this team just does not want to gel. Because we have the star power, right? We have Staunton, Rogers, and Mark Howe, but that is clearly not enough. We're scoring a little bit more now. We're at a 3.58, 13th in the league, but we're actually letting in more goals now. 5.26 goals against per game, I should say. That is 100 goals against in 19 games played. Oof. Even for this era, oof. I really didn't want to have to do this, but I think we're going to have to start trading away some guys again here because this is not turning out how I hoped it would. I clearly underestimated how bad our depth was. And obviously Mark Howe, Rogers, and Staunton are all really good. Coffey is going to be pretty good for his entire career, I would imagine. And he's only just getting started at 20 years of age. He's already got 14 points in 19 games. But I underestimated how much of a non-factor our star power would be when compared to the rest of the league. Because if we take a look at teams like the Islanders, they have basically the same kind of star power as us. They have Potvin, Bossy, and Trottier. Obviously, Potvin and Bossy, both 5-star abilities, but I can't imagine there's too much of a difference between that and 4.5-star, right? And yet, their grades are significantly better. It's the center winger defenseman combination. And that's the same sort of setup that we have, but they just execute it so much better for whatever reason. I don't know what reason that is. Maybe it's their coach. Because if I'm being honest, they have relatively the same kind of depth that we do. And yet they're 16-4-1. and we are 4-12-3. As we see. I mean, they have a few more 3-star abilities than us, but besides that, I would say it's relatively equal as far as on paper ability goes. Let's see. Can I take a look at their coach? Let's see. Al Arbor. Oh yeah, he's good. He's really good. Yeah, that might explain it. we might just need a better coach. Although coaches like that do not so easily grow on trees. This guy's a scout? Viktor Tikhonov? Excuse me? He could be like the best coach in the game. That's... can I please hire you as a coach? Like, I know it has him listed as a scout, but like he also has a 20 coach rating. Can I please hire him as a coach? I can. No. Right. You can't bring anyone from Russia over in this time period. He would have been perfect. He would have been perfect. Like, look at those ratings. Look at those coach ratings. And then the miscellaneous ratings, too. Like, tactics at 19, in-game tactics 18. I mean, he's almost perfect. It's just the player management's a little low. But besides that, like, he's incredible. But unfortunately, cannot bring anyone from Russia over. Yeah, and literally every other coach is just like borderline, like I don't really care. I would rather have our current coach over most of these guys. Like, all the guys who have the best reputation are just don't seem worth it to hire over our current coach. So there's not really much that we can do about our head coach situation right now. We're just gonna have to ride out Phil White, at least for the remainder of his contract, which I believe expires this year, actually. Yeah. So like I said, maybe it is a coach issue, but then you also have teams like Montreal who are just stacked with star power, who, no matter what coach they have, are probably going to be able to dominate no matter what. So if we want to go the Montreal route and just stack up on star power, we might just have to completely disassemble this team and just start from scratch. I'm not going to do this yet, but we're starting to get to the point where I would consider trading Staunton or Rogers for the right package, because if it continues like this, then, you know, we're not really getting anywhere as far as playoffs go. So why keep those guys around when I could potentially get multiple first round picks for them, you know? So I guess we'll finish off the month. We'll see what happens in these next 5 or so games. And if we're like 4-17-3, then I think we seriously need to trade some of our veterans away. Okay, so we're 7-14-3 now. We're no longer last in the division. Still not in a great spot, but we at least did better there. But yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at it, we're not putting ourselves in the best position here, regardless of whether or not we make the playoffs, because even if we do make the playoffs, we're probably just going to get crushed like we did last year, at least with this team, with the way we are now. Oh my goodness. No, don't tell me. Indefinite injury for Bernie Nichols. What was he at this year for stats? 8 points in 20 games. Well, it looks like he wasn't doing too well anyway, but still, he's one of our best prospects, so that hurts. Actually, he's dropped to 3-star potential now. Wasn't he at like 4-star before? Regardless, that is unfortunate. And it seems like Stasny's injured too. Yeah, strained ribcage muscle. I don't know, man. This team doesn't feel... Even if we make the playoffs, it doesn't feel like we're going to go very far. Like, this could just very well end up being a repeat of last season, where we make the playoffs but just get absolutely steamrolled in the first round. Staunton with 46 points, Pettersson with 41, so I guess he's the guy stepping up here in the absence of Mr. Douglas. Rogers with 35, Hagman with 33, Coffey with 33 and 36. So we're clearly getting some better scoring than we did before. And we have a better win-to-loss ratio than we did before, that's for sure. But I still don't feel comfortable with how this team's been doing, even though we've been doing better as of late. Wow, this is some horrid goaltending. Yeah, this might be the problem. I think this might be the problem. Davidson and Garrett. 865 and 858, respectively. Man, maybe it's just our goaltending. I mean, maybe it's not even a problem with the coach. Maybe it's just our goaltending. Because it feels like we should not be this bad. Like, I know this team isn't optimal, but we're far from the worst team in the league, at least on paper. And when you take a look at all the stats, the ones that really stand out in a bad way are the goaltending stats. The only problem is with that, good goaltenders who are available for acquisition do not grow on trees. So what do we do from here? Do we just give them the chance to bounce back? Like, is it worth taking that chance? Because it really, honestly, can't get much worse for either of them. Like, Davidson is doing terrible. Garrett is doing terrible. I mean, he's doing better than he did at the start of the season, but that's, you know, that's because he had an 840 at the start of the season in the first 7 games, right? So, like, it's just gotten worse for Garrett as the years have gone by. Like, year number 1, it was 892, then 879, now 858. Like, if that trend continues, I don't like where this is going. And then Davidson, who during his time with the New York Rangers had a 903, but now it's gone from 903 to 885 to 865. And is it an issue with our goalie coach? Is it the goaltending itself? Is it both? It might be both, honestly. Or is it the team defense? Like, is it a combination of just everything that's causing our goaltending to be so bad? Honestly, I think that's it. I think it might just be a combination of the fact that we're not a very deep team, in addition to the fact that Davidson and Garrett are both having down seasons. And as I said, it might also be our goalie coach playing a part in this. So we might just have to do a complete deconstruction of, at the very least, everything that has to do with goaltending. So goalie coach, in addition to Davidson and Garrett, just get them out of here. But at the same time, I'm not sure if that would be an overreaction or if it would be justified in this case, because it's gotten worse. It really has. I don't think that would be an overreaction at this point. Like, if this was just a one-off situation where, you know, Garrett and Davidson were just both having down seasons but had previously done well, then I would say, yeah, it'd probably be an overreaction. But at this point, this has gone on for quite a while, and it's only getting worse. Let's take a look at the game-by-game stats. Yeah, this is really not pretty. Then what about for Davidson? I mean, it seems like it's either they have a great game or they have an absolutely abysmal game. There's no in between, it seems like, for these two. Because when you take a look at some of these games, like 727, 970, 950, 788, like it's either great or absolutely abysmal. And for the majority of this season, I would describe the goaltending as more so abysmal than great. So yeah, it seems like we have quite the task ahead of us. So with that being said, I am going to end this off here. And in the next one, we will probably just completely deconstruct the goaltending at the very least, possibly even the defensive core. I don't know. I mean, once again, I know we're in a better position now. I know we're in the playoffs, but we're not going to be beating teams like Montreal or the Islanders or Boston in the playoffs if we continue on this trend. It's just not happening. No matter how much the phrase anything can happen in the playoffs is said, you're still not giving yourself a great chance by going in with a team that gives up nearly 5 goals per game. I mean, to be fair, we have been scoring a lot more lately. So our scoring, at the very least, has gotten much better. So offense doesn't seem to be an issue anymore, but defense is it ever. So once again, I'll end this off here. And the next one, we will continue year number 3.